the rifle that wasn't supposed to fail. By 1966, the M16 was no longer a promise. It was a problem. Officially, nothing was wrong. Reports sent up the chain of command were filtered, softened, rewritten. The rifle was still described as advanced, effective, and fit for combat. The failures were blamed on misuse, poor discipline, or lack of familiarity. But in the jungle, truth had a way of surfacing, and it surfaced in moments of terror when a trigger was pulled and nothing happened. A weapon sold as perfect, the M16 had entered Vietnam surrounded by confidence bordering on arrogance. It was presented as a clean break from the past, a symbol of American ingenuity and industrial power. Unlike older rifles, it used a direct gas impingement system. Instead of a piston, hot gases were vented directly into the bolt carrier, cycling the action. This reduced weight and improved accuracy on paper. The ammunition was lighter, allowing soldiers to carry nearly twice as many rounds as before. In theory, this meant sustained firepower, dominance through volume, and tactical flexibility. And then there was the claim that sealed its fate: minimal maintenance required. Some units were told the rifle did not need cleaning at all. No cleaning kits were issued. No detailed manuals were distributed. No warnings were given about the effects of humidity, mud, or powder residue. In the controlled environment of a testing range, this omission went unnoticed. In Vietnam, it was catastrophic. The jungle as a stress test. Vietnam was not just a battlefield. It was a stress test for every assumption the modern military had made about war. Humidity hovered near 100%. Rifles went from dry to soaked in minutes. Fine red dust turned into paste when mixed with rain. Fungal growth appeared on leather, canvas, and even metal. The M16's tight tolerances, which gave it excellent accuracy under ideal conditions, became a liability. Carbon fouling accumulated rapidly inside the action. Extractors slipped. Chambers seized spent casings so firmly that rifles had to be hammered open. The sound of a jam was unmistakable. A hollow click. In the middle of a firefight, that sound meant death. Stories that never reached headquarters. Soldiers began to share stories, quietly. Patrols ambushed where rifles failed after the first magazine. Firefights where men resorted to sidearms or grenades because their primary weapons were useless. Bodies recovered with cleaning rods jammed down barrels. Desperate attempts to clear malfunctions under fire. These stories rarely made it into official records. They lived in whispers, in letters home, in conversations between units rotating out of the field. Morale suffered. Trust was broken. A soldier can endure fear, exhaustion, and hunger, but not betrayal by his own weapon. The Australians watch and wait. The Australian SAS did not gloat. They did not lecture. They simply kept doing what they had always done. Their patrols moved slowly, deliberately. Contact drills emphasized control rather than chaos. Fire was measured, aimed, and purposeful. The L1A1 SLR roared instead of rattled. Each shot carried weight, literally and figuratively. The 7.62 millimeter rounds punched through foliage, tree trunks, and cover that often deflected smaller calibers. In the rain, the rifles gleamed darkly, water running off wood and steel. They kept firing. To the Australians, this was not surprising. To the Americans watching from the sidelines, it was unsettling. Two doctrines, one war. The contrast went deeper than equipment. American doctrine emphasized fire superiority, overwhelm the enemy with volume, suppress movement, dominate through noise and speed. The M16 was perfectly aligned with this philosophy. The Australians believed in fire discipline. In the jungle, blind automatic fire wasted ammunition and revealed positions. Precision mattered more than speed. Control mattered more than volume. The SLR reinforced that mindset. Semi-automatic only. Each trigger pulled deliberate. Each round precious. Neither doctrine was inherently wrong. But Vietnam favored one over the other. Borrowed confidence. As the months passed, something quietly changed. American soldiers began asking questions. They asked to fire the Australian rifles at the range. They asked about maintenance, or the lack of it. They asked how often jams occurred. The answers were simple. Rarely. Almost never. Not when it mattered. Some Green Berets began carrying captured AK-47s on patrol, valuing their brutal reliability over NATO standardization. Others, unofficially, borrowed SLRs when operating alongside Australian units. This was never sanctioned. It was necessity. The myth collapses. By mid-1966, the idea of the flawless M16 had collapsed among those who mattered most, the men carrying it into combat. Investigations would come later. Committees, redesigns, chrome-plated chambers, revised ammunition, issued cleaning kits. But those fixes would arrive too late for many. In the meantime, the jungle continued to expose weakness with ruthless efficiency. Every patrol was a gamble. Every firefight, a test. The storm approaches. In August 1966, the monsoon season reached its peak. Rain fell in sheets, turning plantations into swamps and trails into rivers of mud. Visibility dropped. Sound carried unpredictably. The jungle closed in, tighter than ever. At a rubber plantation near the village of Long Tan, an Australian company prepared for what they believed would be a routine patrol. They carried their old rifles, their heavy magazines, their unglamorous, unfashionable weapons. They had no idea they were about to face more than 20 times their number. And they had no idea that their rifles, mocked months earlier, were about to become the difference between annihilation and survival. The jungle had set the stage. The storm was ready, and history was about to make its judgment.